So we ever wonder who is the man behind the voice of Big Boss, and here we were wondering that who is the man in the big bus. Okay, so he's the man behind the
Hey guys, how are you doing?
voice. So what's your name, sir?
Ross, or OSS, and I'm from Dublin.
Oh, I'm from India.
Hello,
How
nice to
long
meet
you
you.
are doing this?
Been a tour guide on and off for about 10 years, but I've been with Big Bus now for, been a tour guide for about 10 years, and I'm working with Big Bus now about 2 years.
From the last 2 years?
Yeah, exactly.
It seems
yeah.
like you enjoy it more than us, isn't it?
I think I do. Yeah, I think so. I think people are frightened of me sometimes. I think they're kind of thinking I'm a bit of a crazy man. But that's okay. I love my job. I don't see it as a job.
So yeah, I was not able to shoot you. I was not able to shoot the best guide of Dublin.
Oh, stop.
On the world's best YouTube channel.
We do try. I'm also on YouTube as well. There you go. Yeah.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you so
you,
much.
sir. Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Good to see you too.
Have you
हेलो एंड वेलकम बैक टू प्लैनेट मनीष। अब मैं आ गया हूँ डबलिन के हॉप ऑफ सिटी राइड में। हॉप ऑफ सिटी राइड में आ गया हूँ मैं, और ये मैंने बस ली है, हॉप ऑन की है मैंने बस, जिसमें मैं ऊपर बैठा हूँ डबल डेकर बस में। अगर देखेंगे तो ये सामने बस है हॉप ऑन हॉप ऑफ। ऐसी ही बसें आपको लेकर के जाएंगी कुछ पैकेज में, जो कि आपको घुमाएंगी पूरा डबलिन। इसका जो टिकट मैंने लिया है 31 यूरोज में, जिसमें गाइड भी इंक्लूडेड है, एज यू कैन हियर।
Jesus, okay, fair enough. Never mind, go back to sleep. Hello.
साथ ही मुझे मिले ये ईयरफोन्स।
So,
इस बस का जो टूर है वो स्टार्ट हुआ है जनरल पोस्ट ऑफिस से,
I'll never
जो कि
forget
सिटी
you
सेंटर
either.
में है।
My heart will go on. All right. Our city is about 500,000 people. The suburbs 1.5 million, which means 40% of the population of our country live in Dublin. Out your window is a needle called the Spire of Dublin, 120 metres tall. What does it do? Nothing. But it was built to commemorate the year 2000. And we finished it in 2003 instead. Irish punctuality. Right-hand side, the six-pillar building is the GPO, the most important historical building in modern Ireland. That is where our quest for Irish independence began in April of 1916 over a 6-day period in a rising, rebellion, an uprising known as the Easter Rising of 1916. That's where Irish forces barricaded themselves. After heavy fighting, the Irish surrendered, but it led to our War of Independence for 2 years and our Civil War for 11 months. Deutschland, 11 Monaten, there you go. Yeah, 11 years. Oh, das ist richtig, unwichtig. So, on the right-hand side, the GPO, very important building. That's where our struggle for independence began for the first time in over 700 years. And this street was named after a man called Daniel O'Connell. Out your front window, you can see a statue of Daniel. And he was known as the Emancipator of 1829. Basically, he emancipated Irish Catholics to earn the right to vote for the first time in Ireland. Because to be Irish and Catholic in Ireland was a pretty bad combination under various years of British rule. On the left and right-hand side is the River Liffey, which divides our city of Dublin in two, and also around which the modern city of Dublin was built a little over 1,000 years ago, when the Vikings arrived from Scandinavia in the year 841. So apart from our friends in Scandinavia, Dublin is the largest Viking settlement anywhere in the world. All right. So the bulk of the attractions here in Dublin are on the south side of the city. And over the course of today's tour, if you're looking for somewhere to go for a beer tonight, maybe listen to some Irish music, I'm the guy to talk to. Not Temple Bar. Let's just get that out of the way. Not Temple Bar. No. I mean, go to the Temple Bar pub, have fun, but if you think you're going to meet lots of Irish people in Temple Bar, you're going to be waiting a long time. We don't go to the Temple Bar. It's our tourism district. Dutch people, do you go to the red light district in Amsterdam every day? Correct. That's us with the Irish people, Temple Bar. No thanks. Listen, go there, have some fun, but like any city in the world, there's a tourism district and the locals tend to avoid it. But I'll give you a few local recommendations later. Okay. Three Ireland moved in 1891.
This one is the Bank of Ireland.
We're going to stop the bus. Okay, good woman. Now, left-hand side, Trinity College, established in 1592. That's like, you know, on a plane, someone looking in the window.
The Trinity College.
So Trinity College on the left. Edmund Burke and Oliver Goldsmith do statues, Irish history, veterinary, science, law, sociology. The major topics are covered at Trinity College. It's probably our most famous third-level university in the country. It's 40 acres and also encompasses the Book of Kells building. The Book of Kells is 1200 years old. It was written by Irish monks on a Scottish island called Iona in the Latin language. More on that in a moment. But out your front window is Grafton Street. This is our flagship pedestrianised shopping street on the south of Dublin. When you're out later on today, it's going to be a really sunny day today, no rain. Go for a walk down Grafton Street, you'll hear the musicians play, the street performers, lots of markets, lots of pubs, lots of restaurants, great atmosphere on Grafton Street. And where you are right now in Grafton Street, if you walk to the end, it brings you up to St. Stephen's Green, which is one of our most beautiful parks. So you got Trinity on the left, Grafton Street straight ahead, and St. Stephen's Green. So I'm already combining the city like one little jigsaw for you guys. By the way, the city of Dublin is tiny. It could fit into London 14 times. So if you get lost in Dublin, don't tell your parents. That's very embarrassing. Oh, you got lost on 2 streets. Congratulations and celebrations. Okay, so the Book of Kells. Why is it called the Book of Kells? 1200 years ago, the Irish monks brought the book from Iona back to Ireland for safekeeping, away from the Vikings. And they brought it back to a church called Kells Abbey, 1 hour outside the city of modern Dublin. 400 years ago, Oliver Cromwell came to Dublin to strike his claim to the land. And so the powers that be in the monasteries took the Book of Kells from Kells to Trinity College on the left for safekeeping. So 1200 years of history and 2 homes. And if you want to access Trinity in the Book of Kells, left-hand side, in through the side of the railings there. And this is your stop number 2 already for Trinity College and Book of Kells. You don't have to ring the bell, we stop everywhere. Thank you. We kind of have to stop at every stop, but I appreciate the bell. Thank you.
Number 2 stop, that is the Trinity College.
Some of the scenes from Transformers The Last Night was filmed in here on the left with Sir Anthony Hopkins. Also on the right hand side is Kildare Street, which brings you down to the National Library of Ireland and the National Archaeology Museum of Ireland. And the cool thing is, where you see the word national means that it's property of the Irish government. So that means it's also free of charge. You can get into our museums where it says national for free. So we're coming up to the next stop, which sounds like a plant to most of you guys, but it's how we say the number here in Ireland. Number 3. We don't do TH. So number 3 for Leinster Street. This red brick building on your 11 o'clock position says Finn's Hotel. But it's no longer a hotel, my friends. This building on the left, it's offices. But many years ago, this is where a fella called James Joyce was walking along here, met a chambermaid called Nora Barnacle on the 16th of June 1904. And they met and fell in love. And that was a beautiful thing. And Lincoln, former US president, who oversaw the Emancipation Proclamation of the 1860s in his country. And that was the first path towards the civil rights movement in the States. And so Dublin Corporation said, give that man a street. He sounds like wonderful fun. So, on your 11 o'clock position, there's a pub called Kennedy's. And Kennedy's on the left-hand side has the face of 3 famous Irishmen on a mural. The first one is W.B. Yeats. The one across from him, with the chalk wig, is Arthur Guinness. And down below him, peering at us, with his left hand leaning on his chin, is Oscar Wilde. So Oscar Wilde was born on this street on the left-hand side, Westland Road. And you can see a statue of Oscar on a park bench at the corner of Kennedy's pub. So he's sitting down there, so you want to get a picture with Oscar Wilde later, feel free to do so. So he was born on this street on the left in 1854 and passed away at the age of 46 in 1900 in Paris when he was living over there. Pictures of Dorian Gray, the importance of being earnest, and a man of many quotes, which I'll get into in a moment. But first of all, if you notice this building on the 11 o'clock position with the black railings on the first floor. It's called American College Dublin today, but for a lot of people they still call it 1 Merrion Square, the address synonymous with where where Oscar Wilde and his family lived for many years. Oscar lived in this building on the left until he was 21, so born around the corner on Westland Road, and they up sticks and shifted over to 1 Merrion Square on the left. So he said things like, if the English could talk more and the Irish could listen more, society could be somewhat more civilized. I've no idea, I wasn't paying attention. He also said we're all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. And if you notice on your 11 o'clock position, there's a statue of Oscar perched on his rock. looking over his childhood home, making sure everybody's behaving themselves. The sculpture was unveiled by Danny Osborne in 1997, and if you want to say hello to Oscar and visit the National Art Gallery of Ireland across the road, this is the stop for you. So number 4, Marion Square and the National Art Gallery. Number 4. Hello. My friends from the Southern Hemisphere, how you doing? What's happening? Then we have Idaho as well. Then we have Canada, good to see you. Well, sorry, not the Republic of Idaho, you're from the USA. There's it. So hello there, and Canada, thank you very much for Bryan Adams. Thank you very much, not for Nickelback. You can keep Nickelback. Thank you for Degrassi Junior High. That's fantastic. Now, and Drake, well, I'm not a connoisseur of Drake, but I'm sure he's a lovely young man. Now, the right-hand side is the National Art Gallery of Ireland. Monet, Picasso, Vermeer, Caravaggio, Van Gogh. What does national mean? Free. Here you go. Second building on the right, Leinster House. Listen very closely. You can hear circus music. Yep, the Irish government are in there. Third building on the right is the Natural History Museum of Ireland. That's known as the Dead Zoo because of the amount of stuffed taxidermied animals in there since Dr. Livingstone, I presume, opened it in 1857. And here's stop number 5, opposite the last major architectural project undertaken by the British before Irish independence in 1922. So that's why there's a couple of cameras and a few people hanging around, because now this building is no longer the College of Science, it's now the Department of the Taoiseach. Taoiseach in the Irish language means leader or chieftain, which is the Irish prime ministerial role. So the leader of politics in our country, that's where he or she has the role. And those black railings, if anybody's pretty tall, get me up over there, tell them I want very much. So the current leader of the country is getting younger and younger. Simon Harris, sworn in last week, he was 44. They're probably scanning the kindergartens and the Montessoris, I think, for the next term. Now, left-hand side is the Marion Hotel. The guy looking very fancy schmancy with his hat on. The Marion Hotel is our 5-star rock star hotel, ladies and gentlemen. The likes of the Rolling Stones have stayed there. AC/DC, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and other heavy metal titans like Ed Sheeran. Yeah, I must have missed that metal version of Galway Radio. Say that. The last door on the left has a red and white plaque, and that says Michelin star. So if you're kind of sick of Burger King and you want to eat watercress sandwiches for 80 buildings, this is all synonymous with Georgian Dublin. That's the nickname given to the reign of the 4 King Georges of Great Britain, first and fourth, from 1714 to 1830. And you have to remember, economically, Dublin was the second city in the British Empire at that time, next to London. So that's why the likes of the old College of Science was built, and all these beautiful townhouses, second city of empire. Look very quickly on your right, there's a pub down there with a Guinness sign, 5 doors down on the right. That's O'Donoghue's, and that's where the Dubliners started out in 1962. And that's my first recommendation from a local person to go tonight on a Saturday, okay? As I said to you guys earlier on, go to Temple Bar, have the time of your life, but if your idea of coming to Ireland and listening to songs about country roads in West Virginia is your Irish dream, then you knock yourself out. Songs about wonder walls, etc. Yeah. If you go to O'Donoghue's, you'll hear songs about dirty old towns and Molly Malone's and whiskies in the jars and all that good stuff. So it's the good stuff you hear in O'Donoghue's, and I'll throw in a few more suggestions to you later on. And here's stop number 6 as we enter into Georgian Dublin, and I get into a little bit more about the history and some of the characteristic features of the buildings. So number 6. Hello ladies. How you doing?
So अभी तक हमने देखा कॉर्नल स्ट्रीट, नासो स्ट्रीट, बुक ऑफ केल्स, नेशनल आर्ट गैलरी, मैरियन स्क्वायर, और अभी हम आ गए हैं पेम्ब्रोक स्ट्रीट.
Just used to call me Ireland because apparently I looked like Ireland. There you go. Not Ross, not Rossi, not Roscoe, not Rossini. How are you ladies? Good. Marvellous. Where are you from? England. Oh, okay. England. Okay, the tour is over. Oh, Wales. Okay, you can stay. Awesome. All right. So, hello, ladies. Good to see you. Good morning. So, I don't think I've made your acquaintance. My name is Ross. I'm from Dublin. Good to see you. The yellow thing in the sky is called the sun. Welcome to Georgian Dublin. So, there's 5 of these squares in Dublin, 2 in the north of the River Liffey, and 3 over here on the south. So, who lived in here? Not my ancestors. That's for Elishur. The people who lived in here were known as the Protestant Ascendancy, and they were people who commandeered thousands of acres of land in Ireland, the Anglo-Irish class. Anglo stood for English, Irish, Irish, so you're semi-British, semi-Irish, the planter class would have had a lot of land here. And these these buildings would have been probably their winter homes. So in the summertime, the people would have commandeered these buildings. They would have been living in properties with thousands of acres in the middle of the countryside of Ireland. And now it got a bit colder, they come into Dublin and they set up terra firma in these beautiful townhouses. The period we're talking about is from the middle of the 1700s up until the beginning of the 1800s. So the slender windows, they were subject to window tax. Where the larger your window pane, the more tax you have to pay to the taxman. So if you keep on looking up, the windows get smaller. Less money for said taxman. We like these people. Also, these buildings are now embassies, privately run businesses, education. The different coloured doors, always if the man had too much to drink, the lady could remote. This glass is known as the fan light area to facilitate as much natural light as possible coming in through the corridors of these buildings. The Irish government in the 1920s, when we won our independence, wanted to demolish all these buildings because to them it represented the bad old days of overseas rule. But now they take the list of buildings under the guise of the Dublin Civic Trust and the Irish Georgian Society. And if you have €1.5 billion lying around in your bank account, you could buy one of those buildings that went up for sale last week. So chump change, especially if you work for Big Bus, man. That's what I make every day. Premier League footballers, loaded, man. So these buildings are beautiful. This part of Dublin is beautiful. The south side of Dublin here is fantastic. The bulk of the attractions in the city are over here on the south. And if you look out your front window, you can see what would have been the recreational square for a lot of the people living in these red brick buildings many years ago, St. Stephen's Green. Now also, I'd like to help you guys out with some recommendations of places that aren't on the route, okay? The days are gone in 2024. People just want to go to Dublin and go, oh, top of the morning, today there was leprechauns and Guinness, ho ho ho. So, but if you want all that stuff, I can tell you about all that as well. But on the left-hand side is the National Concert Hall, which is a few minutes walk away, and that's a home of classical music. So you could be into catching a classical musical show while you're in Dublin. Fantastic. The world premiere of Handel's Messiah took place here in the 13th of April, 1742, when George Friedrich Handel first performed it on O'Neill's Music Hall, which is no longer here, right beside Christchurch Cathedral. The ladies were told to take the hoops off their dresses, and the men were told to leave their swords at home to maximise capacity at the debut performance. The left-hand side, St. Stephen's Green, landscaped by the Guinness family in the 1700s, gifted back to the people of Dublin in the 1800s in an act of philanthropy. But there's method to their philanthropy. It wasn't just a case of, well, you look very nice, have a ring. They're a very God-fearing family, the Guinness family, so they thought that the good deeds they do here would reward them up in the clouds when they left here. Also, the trees act as sound absorption, so you hear very little of the passing traffic. And if you look at your left-hand side, you can see a statue of a man on the left. I don't think he was that tall when he was born, but that's Theobald Wolfe-Tone. And this man on the left was from this part of Dublin, a founding member of the United Irishmen, a political group who wanted to overthrow the British monarchy in the 1790s and establish an Irish republic. They even asked for Napoleon Bonaparte's help in 1796. And the French landed off the south coast of Cork. Well, some of them did, some of them didn't, because the weather was so bad. So even the weather gets in the way of our independence. The right-hand side is the Shelburne Hotel. Charlie Chaplin, Laura McCartney, Princess Grace of Monaco, well spent a night or two there. Also, the first draft of Ireland's Constitution was signed there in 1922. So there's history around every corner of my home city, my friends, and I hope you're having a good time thus far. So stop number 7 for St. Stephen's Green on the left, and also Grafton Street straight ahead. Number 7. I like that. You got the VIP entrance. Side of the bus, you can see a green door just past this building that says number 16. So this building on the right hand side with the big orange digger, that's the Little Museum of Dublin, and they rely heavily on private donations from the people of Ireland. So it's kind of like the Antiques Roadshow. If you think you find something of value up in the attic, you bring it down, you show it off and say, oh geez, that might be alright. Someone found the last page of a first edition of Ulysses. So they brought it into the Little Museum of Dublin and they put a frame around it because everyone complained that you could never finish reading Ulysses. So in true Irish sarcasm, we decided to alleviate those woes. That's Irish 101.
Ah, there you go, that's the last page.
Now, left-hand side, there's a pub which definitely has the shutters down until later on. But it says the Dawson Lounge on the left there, you see it? That, my friends, It's not just the smallest pub in Dublin, it's the smallest pub in Ireland. And you know you want to tick that off your list. Of course you do. There's a devil on one side and an angel on the other side of your shoulder right now. Capacity of 15 people, which means you'll never fall over. You'll just bump into someone else. The right-hand side from 1715, the Lord Mayor of Dublin's house, the Mansion House. This street was laid out by a fella called Joshua Dawson in the 1700s. And on the right-hand side, the red-painted doors of St. Anne's Church, which is where none other than Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula, was married in 1878 to a lady called Florence Balcom. Now, he didn't have to get Ryanair, he didn't have to scan his QR code or anything, because he was actually from Dublin. Quite handy. He didn't need to fly from Dublin to Dublin, so he stayed here. Didn't even have to look at the Irish either. He died the same week that the Titanic sunk. And no matter what Kate Winslet said, there's plenty of room on that piece of board. I'll never let you go, Jack. Well, that looks like letting go to me, Kate. And off Leo went for a swim. And the face on Leo, do you remember in the movie when he's going down into the, he's looking at her going, you know what? Yeah, I will kill you. Yeah. Like, you're letting me go. I even drew a picture of you. Jeez. I told you I was the king of the world. Okay, well, left-hand side, Hodges Figgis, the oldest bookshop in Ireland from 1768, and reputedly the fourth oldest in the world. My dear friends, if you're a bit of a book nerd like me, get in there and give Hodges Figgis your money. Don't give Amazon your money. Help local bookshops no matter where you are in the world, people. By the way, just to finish up on Bram Stoker, just as well he died early, because he died before the Dracula movie came out and the reviews were awful. Yeah. Even one guy said it sucked. The other one said it was a pain in the neck. The other one said he couldn't get his teeth into it. And that's all I have for now. Okay, so the right-hand side, Trinity College. Oscar Wilde, Jonathan Swift, Samuel Beckett, Robert Boyle for the science buffs, Boyle's Law, fan, doubly-tastic, all graduate from there. Left-hand side, all the musicians be in there later on. What's that guy doing? It looks like a Rasta lady or something. I really hope that someone doesn't make a run and tries to go through that with a kingdom. That would not be nice. Ladies of the bus, Trinity College, also the graduates of Mary Robinson, Mary McAleese, the first two female presidents of our country. When Mary Robinson was sworn in 1990, at her speech, she said, "Ladies of Ireland, for years we were told to rock the cradle, but this time we decided to rock the system." Luma! Luma! Why are you wearing your jacket? Oh, she's Brazilian, that's right. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Your jacket? What are you wearing your jacket for? Okay, fair enough. Alright, so left-hand side, the Irish Whiskey Museum. If you leave there and you feel a little bit dizzy, don't blame it on jet lag. It's probably triple distilled Irish whiskey. On your right-hand side, brief recap for my amigos who weren't with us in Stop 1, Trinity College, established in 1592 under the orders of Queen Elizabeth I to educate young Protestant males. So Catholics had to wait until the end of the 1700s to study here. Ladies of the bus, 1904 till you went for your degree. In 1903, a provost called George Salmon said, "Over my dead body will women be allowed to study in Trinity College." So he dropped dead of a massive heart attack and invent the women. Ain't that? The Bank of Ireland. And you also have to remember this part of Dublin was where all the economics happened in the city a few hundred years ago. Dame Street on the left was all the financial institutions. Where the Irish Parliament is out the front window, that's where all the political decisions were made for many, many years. Where the archway is, in front of us, that is where the podium was set up in the last few years. And the likes of Nelson Mandela, JFK, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama have all decided to visit us here in Dublin. So that building acts as a backdrop to showcase Dublin also to the rest of the world. If you look at your right-hand side, there is the statue of a man called Thomas More. And in his hand, he's not holding a rifle, he's not holding a sword, he's holding a pen. And he's also one of our national poets of the 1700s. So if you notice a lot of our statues in Dublin, predominantly they're not politicians, they're musicians, poets and artists, rather than politicians. If you look at your left-hand side, you can see the cobblestone streets of Hell on Earth on a Saturday, Temple Bar. So Temple Bar, my friends, as I said numerous times, go in there, have some fun, but if you think you're going to meet people from Dublin in there, you'll be waiting for a little while. We don't know. But on the right-hand side, you might meet me in here later, you might even meet me in the pub next door, I might even go to both of them. Woo-hoo. So Bowes, the Fleet Bar on the right. So what I'm saying to you guys is, you'll find the locals in any pub outside of town. It's as easy as that. Temple Bar, especially on a Saturday, if you know anybody getting married in the next year, it's full of pre-wedding parties. You know, leotards, high heel shoes, that's just the boys. So you're in for an interesting Saturday. Yeah. It's not the heart and soul of Dublin. So go there. Take it off your list. Okay, so welcome to one of the youngest cities in the world. Well, Europe. Half the population of Dublin is under 25. The population of the Republic of Ireland is 5 million. The north of Ireland 2, meaning 7 million living in this country. 85,000 kilometers squared is the size of this island. Indiana, in the USA, is 95,000 kilometers squared. Our population was almost 9 million in the 1840s, preceding the Irish potato famine, where 1 million Irish people died of starvation, further 1 million forced to emigrate. So you guys are clever, do the maths. 9 million then, 7 million now, our population is still minus 2 million from nearly 200 years ago. As we make our way up to stop number 8, on the left-hand side, the traffic lights, is a statue of a lady. But now you can't really see her from here. You'll need to jump off the big bus to really say hello to her. But on the left-hand side of this lane is a statue of Molly Malone. And she was a fishmonger by the daytime and a member of a different profession by the evening time. I hope her tax credits are okay, you know, splitting your tax credits across 2 jobs. Be a bit arduous. So, she's the most photographed statue in Dublin. And if you want to say hello to Molly, this is the number 1, this is number 8 that you need. And this is number 8 for Molly Malone. Hello, lads. Good. Now there's room, let's see, 2 down. How many of you is there? So, welcome to Dame Street. Head of finances here in Dublin for many years. Why is it called Dame Street? Because many years ago in medieval Dublin, and indeed around the world, another name for a city was a dam. D-A-M, also partly where Amsterdam gets its name from as well. So where we are today, my friends, a lot of history. We got Molly Malone behind us, we've got the Temple Bar area on the right, we got Dublin Castle, we got Christchurch Cathedral. So one long straight street with a lot of interest. Let's get going. On the right hand side we can see the old Central Bank of Ireland from 1979. It's no longer the Central Bank, but now as you can see they sell Krispy Kreme donuts. Hey, there you go. On the right hand side the cobblestone streets of Temple Bar was going to be demolished in the 1980s. Dublin Bus wanted to build a garage in there to store all their buses, and pretty good idea, nice centralised location. You're tired, you're finishing your shift, get in there, park up the bus. But in 1991, Dublin was awarded the European City of Culture Award. So the Irish government had an idea, let's keep this place going, let's monetise it, let's put in the pubs, the restaurants and the hotels. Because the Temple Bar that's marketed to you guys was not the Temple Bar of 40, 50, 60 years ago. If you see photographs of this area on the right in the 50s and the 60s and up to the early 1980s, it was boarded up buildings, it was derelict buildings, there was graffiti everywhere, it was grass and moss growing absolutely anywhere. So it's only in the early 1990s that the money was put into this area and marketed to you guys overseas. And for some reason now people think that Ireland began in the Temple Bar. I have no idea how that happened. It's Apple with €9.95. Yes. No thanks. I've read. But, oh, here's another one for you. Temple Bar is not named after the pub. The whole district is called Temple Bar, after a man called Sir William Temple, who was a prop boss at Trinity College 400 years ago. And the word bar has got nothing to do with alcohol. Right beside the River Liffey, which is a tidal river, and the tide is low in the sand banks, or the sand dunes, or the sand bars. They go visible. So Sir William Temple plus sandbar equals Temple Bar. If you're drunk in Temple Bar tonight, don't say this pub is made out of sand. Stop number 9 with Dame Street and Dublin Castle. So where the traffic lights are straight ahead, take a sharp left and you're in towards the grounds of the castle. Now, here's the thing. Don't think you're going to see a castle. I'd hate to be a buzzkill, but it was burnt down 400 years ago. But it was the headquarters of British administration in Ireland for 718 years. Sorry lads, we'll let the ladies out there. AD, the King of England, King John, decided that he needed a bit of a headquarters here in Dublin. We were under British rule for about 50 years at that point, so he said, okay, we need a headquarters. So in 1204, it became the headquarters of British administration for 718 years, up until 1922. Now, as I said, you won't really see moats and drawbridges. Stop number 9 in a moment for Dame Street and Dublin Castle. If you look across in your 1 o'clock position, there is a music venue called the Olympia. And the Olympia is seen Metallica rehearsing there in the run-up to their Slane Castle concert in Ireland 4 years ago. The Olympia on the right-hand side, one of our most beautiful music venues in the city. Now if you look very quickly on the left, that's your entrance into Dublin Castle, which is also where the National Photography Museum is located, and the Chester Beatty Library. The President of Ireland, by the way, is inaugurated in the castle once every 7 years. And in 1922, the leader of the Irish Provisional Government was a man from Cork called Michael Collins. Michael Collins was 7 minutes late to the flag changing over ceremony from the British Union flag to the Irish flag. So the leader of the British Army said, "You're 7 minutes late, Mr. Collins," to which he swiftly replied, "Well, you kept me waiting for 700 years. You can have your 7 minutes." Cheeky boy. So stop number 10, with a little glimpse on the left in towards the courtyard area of Dublin Castle today, as we begin our adventure into the nucleus of medieval and Viking Dublin. The cathedral you see out your front window, Christchurch Cathedral, is around which the city of Dublin was born over 1,000 years ago. Ah yes, speaking to DNA test, you're very welcome. My name is Ross, I'm from Dublin. Welcome to the epicenter of Viking and medieval Dublin. Sindo began in the 1000s when it was a wooden structure built by the Christian version of the Vikings. When they first arrived here in the 800s, they were pagan. By the 1000s, they converted to Christianity. Look at the left-hand side of the bus. There's a painting of a Viking longship, and up above the ground floor window, a model of a Viking longboat. The right-hand side is the oldest street in Dublin, Fishamble Street. That was still a same natural curvature in the road as well. It was a Viking dirt track over 1,000 years ago. So the first version here was made out of wood in the 1000s by the Vikings, the 1100s, the Normans, and then after that what we see on the right in the 1870s by a man called Henry Rowe, who was the distiller, the man in charge of the major whiskey distillery around the world in the 1870s. But he wasn't after the renovations because it bankrupted him. St. Michael's Bell Tower is up above, the crypt down below is the largest between Ireland and the UK, and there's also the resting place inside the cathedral of a man called Richard de Clare, better known as Strongbow, who came from Wales. And he was a mercenary. Like any mercenaries, he followed where the money was. The King of Dublin at the time wanted to win back his throne. He was getting no help in Ireland. So he looked over to Wales. He said, "Hello there, Richard de Clare, known as Strongbow. I need some help over in Dublin to get my throne back." So Richard de Clare sent some boys over to Wexford. They marched up from Wexford to Dublin, and they started to be very interested in Dublin. And they said, "Fantastic, I might send word back to Henry II, the King of England, to send over more troops, and maybe they might be interested in coming over here too." So arguably, that was the undoing. The King of Dublin, when he decided to ask for the people overseas, said, "Down this cathedral, literally in Viking and medieval Dublin, the names of the streets are embedded in the history of the city." We also have Cow Lane and Skinner's Alley, again, named after the trades of the past. So that building on the right, my friends, is the nucleus of Dublin City. Also the flags on the right, the yellow and grey one saying Dublinia, that's the official Viking centre of Dublin. And that's where you get to view some of the artefacts salvaged where we found the Viking city of Dublin, 300 Viking houses and hundreds upon thousands of Viking era artefacts. So you can do worse than jumping off here at stop number 11 for Christchurch Cathedral and Dublinia. Why are there two cathedrals so close to each other in Dublin? Well, I'm going to tell you. Because I hope so, we'll turn light. So where the traffic lights are out the front window is roughly where the old medieval walled city of Dublin once ran. So when the Normans built Christchurch Cathedral, said, "Listen, let's fortify it." So they made a 42-acre large city made out of stone, which kept a certain amount of people in and a certain amount of people out. So the original walled city of Dublin ran out roughly where we see out our front of the bus today. As a matter of fact, the second black drain pipe on that red brick building, if you notice, follow your eyes all the way down to the ground level, there's a monument there with a black circle in the middle. Just there, your 11 o'clock position. Second drain pipe on the left. Where you see that monument is where the medieval walled city of Dublin once ran. You can also see it on the left-hand side of that red brick building there. So one monument on the left, beside the drain pipe on your 11 o'clock position. So that indicates where the old walled city ran. Every March, I've no idea why, maybe it's just a change in the weather. The 11 o'clock position is our national cathedral and our largest cathedral. Just like Christchurch Cathedral, it was renovated in the middle of the 1800s, this time by the Guinness family. If you look at the door on the left, the shade is St. Patrick's blue. That is the national colour of Ireland, my friends, not green. And St. Patrick wasn't even from Ireland in the first place. He was from Wales. Just like Tom Jones, but here that's not unusual. Now stop number 12 for St. Patrick's Cathedral. Last admission today is 6 p.m. God help the people working in there today. There's a guy walking on the road who obviously doesn't have traffic in his home country. So number 12 for St. Patrick's. The statue on the left, by the way, that's a fella called Benjamin Guinness. And the reason why he looks so miserable is because he was the member of the Guinness family responsible for footing the restoration work. So the joke in Dublin goes in his left hand, he's looking at the receipt saying, "How am I going to pay for all this?" Swift, the author of Gulliver's Travels, he was from Dublin, and he was a dean of this cathedral from 1712 to 1745. And this section of the cathedral on the left-hand side, he is buried within this section of wall on the left-hand side, alongside his life partner slash wife slash girlfriend slash Cluedo, who done it, life partner Stella. Stop number 12 here on St. Patrick's Close. As we look at our front window, there's a very, very tropical item, a bin truck. Past the bin truck on the left, there's an entrance in towards Marsh's Library from 1707. Now Marsh's Library on the left-hand side, just past the truck on the left, was opened by a man called Narcissus Marsh. Jesus, parents must have a great sense of humour. I'm going to call you Narcissus. Alright, cheers. And nepotism, sister. 25,000 books, 3,000 manuscripts. Is the oldest public library in the city. And even some of the books have bullets, with bullet holes in them, because smashing through the windows in 1916 during our struggle for independence, some of the books caught some of the backlash. So once we take a right, we're heading out into the Liberties area of Dublin. Alright, Giro please. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna go to Tampa Bar, hear all the Irish songs. Country roads, take me home, West Virginia. It's not your fault but mine. Stand back in anger. All the Irish songs in Temple Bar, fantastic. Almost heaven. Okay. Over these mountains. Good God. So welcome to the Liberties, my friends. We're heading up towards Teeling's Whiskey Distillery. There's 160 distilleries in this part of Dublin. Now there's only 5 or 6. That's because years ago we had things like prohibition in the States. A lot of contraband whiskey was being manufactured. Also when we won our independence, well, the British put a big alcohol tax on the Irish. So hit them where it hurts, literally. Textiles, brewing and distillation was the industry of this part of Dublin for many years. But Teeling's that we're going to be happening upon now in a moment was opened by a fellow called Walter Teeling in the 1790s. Now poor Walter fell on hard times and it shut down. And in 2015, direct ancestors of his called Jack and Stephen Teeling opened the new building we're going to see now in a moment. This part of Dublin was also the scene of the Great Whiskey War of Dublin in 1875. Setting a river of whiskey on fire down the length of this street. There were 13 fatalities on the night. Nothing to do with smoke inhalation or flames. The good men of Dublin improvised by putting out the fire, not with water hydrants, but with horse manure. So they took off their boots, started to drink the whiskey, laced with horse poo-poo. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in Dublin in the 19th century, for God's sake, leave on your runners. Stop number 13 for Teeling's Whiskey Distillery. And after you finish your tour, you go into what's called the Bang Bang Bar, where hopefully that's what your head might sound like in the morning after a couple of tipples. Right next door to a whiskey distillery. That's good planning. And his name was Thomas Dudley. But everyone called him Bang Bang. Because Thomas Dudley used to get onto the back of the public buses in Dublin and pretend to shoot the people with a golden key in his pocket and shouting out the words, bang, bang.
Innocence and a devil could.
Master Brothers funeral home. I had to put a complaint in last week. I found our staff a little bit stiff. So let's make our way up towards St. Patrick's Cathedral. So in a moment we're going to be passing by St. Patrick's, up around by Christchurch, and then we're getting into the epicentre of the Liberties, which is pretty much bookmarked by the Guinness Storehouse. If you notice on your left-hand side, by the way, there's a flower shop with a wonderful name, the Hopeless Botanics. There you go. How's the business going? Absolutely bloody hope. St. Patrick's Cathedral, there's the magic black and gold clock up on the right-hand side from 1560. If you keep on looking on your right, that's St. Patrick's Park, landscaped in 1901. Before that, there was a sea of tenanted houses on your right-hand side. The less fortunate people of Dublin were crammed with the very, very cramped living conditions when they were housed at that park now. The Guinness family knocked them all down, and that park is now recreational ground. And if you notice these rectory buildings, they were once the home of Guinness workers, the Ivy buildings, named after a man called Sir Edward Guinness, the boss man of Guinness operations in 1901. They had libraries, playgrounds, and even swimming pools inside there. Well, Irish sarcasm. It was a bath, but we called it a swimming pool. My great-great-grandfather actually worked for Guinness, and he lived in a sister building of the Ivy buildings on the right called the Rialto buildings, the far side of the Guinness Storehouse. So my great-great-grandfather, my great-grandfather, and my great-grand-uncle also all worked for Guinness. So I've got Guinness literally to thank for my happening on planet Earth. And there you go. What are the chances I meet you guys on Saturday morning? It's destiny. Beautiful, isn't it? St. Michael's Arch was only part of the 19th century renovations. So not everything you see here is strictly from the 1100s. The most original part of the cathedral is down the crypt, obviously. Unless they're building the cathedral in the sky and decide to do renovation backwards. So here's stop number 14 for High Street. Why is it called High Street? It's the highest point in the city of Dublin. Number 14. Right-hand side are 600 years old, and the church services have gone on for 800 years consecutively. If you want a guided tour of 800 years of Irish history, it's free. It's part of the Irish Heritage Council, or OPW, or Office of Public Works. Now, on your left-hand side, sorry, my mistake, definitely your left-hand side, there's a piece of wall, and it's 900 years old. This piece of wall is from the old medieval walled city of Dublin. So now we are outside the 900-year-old walled city. So that's why this part is called the Liberties, because people lived at liberty. Didn't have to pay the city tax as a folk the other side of the walled city of Dublin. This road we're on right now is one of the 5 ancient roads of Ireland. Of course, the first one from the Hill of Tara, 1 hour outside the city of Dublin. This would have been the road from Dublin to Galway, to the west coast of Ireland, hundreds of years ago. Also, this part of Dublin, this is the salt of the earth. This is where the street vendors were, the fishmongers, the fruit, the veg. This is the heart and soul of Dublin, the Liberties. They buy and sell you with their sense of humour. This is where, these are all the Del Boys down here, like. How's it going, lads? Right-hand side, the NCAD, the National College of Art and Design, which was Paris Whiskey Distillery. Imagine they're both open design at the same time. That would have been interesting. Left-hand side, flowers. Left-hand side, toilet paper. I believe this deals with white complete. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, that was a slow roller, wasn't it? Oh, sorry. She's talking toilet paper still. Okay, right, left-hand side. Oh, God. 11 o'clock position is St. Catherine's Church. St. Catherine's Church, a lot of history here. A man called Robert Emmet was executed outside the door of this church in 1803. 25 years old, wanted to overthrow Dublin Castle, the headquarters of British rule in Ireland at that time. He said, once Ireland takes its place amongst the nations of the world, then, and not until then, let my epitaph be written, and I have done. So once we get through the green light, I'm going to say one word, and most of the bus are going to stand up and go, whoa! Guinness. Right. If you see the statue head up above the door on the left, a lot of people think that's the River Liffey, but it's not. That is the Roman goddess of barley. Geez, the Romans thought of everything, didn't they? What do we need today? Oh, grass, hay, straw. Oh, barley. Oh, that's Wednesday. Put in some barley. So this was the original entrance at the Guinness years ago. 5,000 people would have filtered through here up until the 1960s, and now 800 people work here, owed to computers and automation. In 1759, Arthur Guinness signed a 9,000-year lease, which is either insanity or he's probably a little bit drunk. That's 3 zeros, Arthur. Leave me alone. So 8,700 years left to go. The Guinness party's just got started. Pink would love that, wouldn't she? So it was a 4-acre site in 1759. Now it's 64 acres. Oh, there's a princess, all right. 3 million pints of Guinness are brewed here every single day. 10 million pints of Guinness are consumed around the world every single day. If you think the maths don't add up, that's because there's various storehouses and factories around the world, but here in Dublin is the HQ. 200 countries around the world supply Guinness. And anywhere I go on my travels, it's great. Because I never have to pay for beer. Where are you from? Ireland. Cool, you want beer? Sure, right, you're Irish. Okay. It goes with health nationality. There's a 360 panoramic gravity bar. And that's where you see on a beautiful day the city of Dublin and the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains. Also, we're not the biggest Guinness drinkers in the world, by the way. 5th place is Cameroon. Number 4 is the USA. Number 3 is Ireland. Number 2 is Nigeria. And coming in the gold medal place in Guinness consumption around the world, the UK. Whatever. The house initially opened in 1901 as the fermentation plant. So Guinness, much like wine, needs to breathe, needs to ferment. It gets its colour from the roasting of the barley at 232 degrees Celsius. If anybody's jumping off, you enjoyed the tour. Son, it comes out in Ireland once every 17 years, and you get to see it in Ireland. OMG, fantastic. So listen, welcome to Dublin, welcome to the Guinness Storehouse. As I was telling you guys here, it's the most visited attraction in the entire country. The buildings that you see on the left and right hand side are mainly from the renovations of 1901. Now the thing about Guinness is they call it the home of the black stuff, which is interesting because it's not actually black. It's dark ruby red. It just looks black from a distance, but if you go closer, look at the bottom of your pint glass and you say, what's that? Ross wasn't a movie set. In the 1990s, called Far and Away with Tom Cruise. Very far and away the worst Irish accent I've ever heard in my life. It was hideous, wasn't it? Sheer crap. Absolute crap. Oh, by the way, any devotees of Doctor Who, they're filming on the right-hand side of the lane here yesterday. They're all gone, but they're filming the new series of Doctor Who down there. Right today, So Tom Cruise is not getting away, by the way. He sounds like a leprechaun in acute distress. It's like Popeye with problems.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hey, you come to our From through the finish,
That's like the olive oil said, you're on the couch, sunshine. So once we take a left, we're back up at Thomas Street and passing by the home of Arthur Guinness. That's it, everyone just walk everywhere. That's no problem. Yep, that's it. Yeah, no, seriously, it's all good. Yeah, go down there, yeah, take a left. Yeah, no, you don't have to check Google Maps. Go straight down, very good. Where would we be, lads? Where would we be? Usually you follow your nose, you can smell it. It's like burnt toast or cappuccino. It's absolutely wonderful. By the way, second building on the left where Arthur Guinness once lived. He had 21 children with his lady wife Olivia. They lived in this house. Only 10 of the kids survived until adulthood, though, such the high mortality rate in the 1700s. And one of their slogans years ago was funny enough, Guinness for strength. I'll leave that one to your imagination. The right-hand side Roman code, that was Guinness's power station many years ago. So everything here was or is Guinness territory. Administration, health centres on the left-hand side as well would have been all part of the Guinness story. So once we get the green light, we're heading up towards Pierce Lyons Whiskey Distillery, which is this church on the 1 o'clock position with the turquoise transparent roof. That's right, come to Ireland, drink whiskey inside a church, and no questions whatsoever. And don't tell your parents. Don't tell your parents that. Don't even take a selfie. Actually do, frighten your mother. If she's still in bed right now, hi ma'am. Beep, 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 beep. What's that message? Ah! Okay. There's not even a cloud in the sky. Oh no, there is. Sorry, I was getting the Oh, okay, so Pierce Lyons Whiskey Distillery. Stop number 16. Named after a man born in Dublin and moved to the States many years ago. Mr. Pierce Lyons had a dream. He wanted to open a whiskey distillery inside a church in his home city. He even got a PhD in whiskey distillation. That's commitment to the cause. So what you see on the right-hand side is deconsecrated, so much like Prince. That's the building formerly known as church. Stop number 16 for Pierce Lyons, which was opened in 2015. The other guys are like, I wish he'd really put that. So it's good to see you. So we're making our way down towards Kilmainham, which is a very historical part of Dublin. Home one time of the Royal Hospital of Kilmainham, which was a retirement home for British soldiers up until Irish independence. Now it's our Irish Museum of Modern Art. Also Kilmainham Jail from 1796 until 1924. It was a who's who of every Irish revolutionary leader from our struggle for independence in that time period. It's a national monument. It's no longer a jail. It's now a place to visit, a museum. But on your right-hand side above the walls is St. Patrick's Psychiatric Hospital, the first psychiatric unit of its kind to be opened in Ireland. And that was back in 1757, using the money of Jonathan Swift, the Dublin-born author of Gulliver's Travels, who left £12,000 in his will for the construction of that building up over the wall. By the way, that building on the right now is a dryo clinic for alcohol beside the Guinness Storehouse at the Whiskey Distillery. England, Percy Alsop would have loved that, wouldn't you? Location. Jeez, I'm such a crush on Percy Alsop. There's something I can tell. You're probably looking around going, Ross, all I see is a bunch of apartments. Not very historical. We have a time. When we come around the corner, we'll be in towards the entrance of the Modern Art Museum and Kilmainham Jail. Now, Kilmainham Jail, they had thousands of people staying in there for over 100 years, okay? You could be in there as a kid stealing a loaf of bread or be a signatory of the Irish Declaration of Independence in 1916. There are 7 signatories, by the way. As well as being incarcerated inside the jail, they're also executed inside the stonecutters yard of Kilmainham Jail over the summer of 1916. To add to the slightly macabre feel of this part of Dublin, this hill we're going on, which we name locally as the Gallows Hill, because this is where the hangman's noose was located in the 1700s. If you look at your left-hand side, in through the entrance is the Modern Art Museum. 10-minute walk in over is Kilmainham Jail. Just follow the signs. Now, it's very difficult to get a ticket for Kilmainham Jail because of its importance in Irish history. It's a national monument. It tells a story about how we became an independent nation. You get to see the prison cells where they were stored and where those men were executed. So slightly somber, but very memorable. And then for Kilmainham Jail, let me assist you, ladies and gentlemen, with a little story that the tour guides tell you inside the jail. So at least if you're not going into the jail, I will tell you a story that they can now reimburse you with. So this is the story of one of our 7 signatories, a man called Joseph Plunkett. He was asked what his dying wish was to be, and it was to marry his then girlfriend, a lady called Grace Gifford. So Grace was summoned to the church inside the jail, and herself and Joseph exchanged marriage vows. They're only given 15 supervised minutes together after that. He was executed in the early hours of the following morning. Grace never remarried. She lived until 1955 and became the subject of a beautiful Irish folk song simply called... Don't put it on 6 o'clock in the evening at a barbecue. Maybe at 1 o'clock in the morning when your uncle has had a couple of whiskies and he's crying about Ireland and he really wants to hear something sung. It's a good song, but you wouldn't be putting it on beside Pina Colada. Taking a right turn outside Houston train station, named after a young man, 25 years old, Sean Houston. So during the 1916 Rising, 16 men were executed, 15 of them in Kilmainham, and 1 of them over in London, a man called Sir Roger Casement. Yes, a man of the realm of the British Empire was complicit in conspiracies within the Irish independence movement. But Sean Houston was battalion leader in a building quite close to here called the Medicinal Building. And on the left-hand side, he was a ticket clerk, but this building was called Kingsbridge train station. After our independence, a lot of our major train stations were renamed after our battalion leaders and signatories who were executed in that summer of 1916. And this stop, by the way, for Houston Station is if you want to get Irish Rail from Dublin to Mayo to Galway to Limerick to Cork to Kerry to Waterford. So intercity travel mainly to the west of the country and down to the south and southwest. The beautiful building on the right-hand side is from 1733, and that was known as Dr. Stephen's Hospital for Infectious Diseases. Ugh. But now it's the headquarters of the HSE, which is our version, I suppose, of your mates over in the UK, the NHS. The HSE means Health Service Executive. That's the Irish government's health department. And also, the reason why that building that we had seen a moment ago was located where it was is because the city of Dublin was so small in the 1700s that was the countryside. That was the sticks. That was the middle of nowhere. There was no train stations or, unfortunately, Guinness. I wouldn't have gone on the time machine then. Wait, no Guinness? Nah, definitely not. Not interested. That's Dublin Bastille. For now, up until 1961, Guinness would have had tugboats and barges right out your front window where the River Liffey is. And they would have been delivering out to the larger boats at the end of Dublin Bay for export around the world. Also, Guinness would have had a door there on the right-hand side leading into the station for distribution around the country. So we're crossing out the River Liffey. We're going from the south of Dublin over to the north. How do we know that? Because the River Liffey divides our city officially in two. The bridge on the left-hand side is from 1821. How do we know that? It has it written on the side. No, thank you. That was the year that King George IV of Great Britain paid a state visit to the people of Dublin. So it was once called Kingsbridge, now it's called Houston Bridge because of the close proximity to Sean Houston's train station. As I said, 20 bridges across the River Liffey, and we're coming up to our stop number 19. And if you have your big bus ticket, let's see if it's open yet. Probably not. Maybe a little bit later on, about next hour or so. Nancy Hand's pub will be open, and that's where you get a half glass of Guinness for free with your big bus ticket. OMG, a whole half glass. Now don't spill it, okay? Stop number 19. So what happened was Nancy was a bit of a rebel. The pub on the right-hand side, she used to have a secret little cubby hole where she'd serve out the beer, and the change would come out in what? Her hand. Right-hand side, that's where I make citizens arrests and bring in people who actually order half a glass of Guinness. That's the Criminal Courts of Justice. Established in 2010, 24 steps Ireland to go to there. So if anything happens in court, Galway, Limerick, etc., they're putting the ban and they're thrown in there into the criminal courts. And sometimes in the 9 o'clock news, you might see the TV cameras and they're doing a report, and you see me in the big bus going, hey, how's it going? Woo, me waving. So someone getting put in jail for 25 years and me waving frantically on the big bus. So, hello, you can see me. Okay, so we're going into the Phoenix Park. 1,752 acres is the largest walled city park in Europe. The wall that you can see straight out ahead the front window carrying alongside the park, that carries around for 11 kilometres. The perimeter is 11 kilometres. You could fit 2 central parks in New York inside here, 6 Hyde Parks in London, or 2 in the Principality of Monaco. But the people from Monaco are usually, in the golden speedboats and the helicopters and the helipads. It's called the Phoenix Park because it comes from 2 old Irish words, Fionn and Ishka. Fionn means clear, Ishka means water, anglicised into English, Fionn Ishka, Phoenix. This avenue, England, is called Chesterfield Avenue. Hey, fantastic. It's 4 kilometres long. My friends from the US and they do things a bit differently. That's about over 2 miles, 2.5 miles-ish. This was opened in the 1600s for a fellow called the Duke of Ormond, the King or Queen of England's royal representative at the time. So evidently you need nearly 2,000 acres to let your deer walk around. Fantastic. The left-hand side is the tallest obelisk in Europe. That's known as the Wellington Monument, built for a man born in Dublin, believe it or not, called Arthur Wellesley, better known as the Duke of Wellington, who defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. As far as I know, ABBA made it out very safely. Fantastic. If you ever want to learn history, just recite the lyrics of Waterloo. My. At Waterloo, Napoleon did surrender. Oh yeah. By the way, Arthur Wellesley was the only Irishman ever to become the British Prime Minister. So bonus history trivia for you. He was also down there where the big gang of people are queuing up. Also down towards the second roundabout is the President of Ireland's house, Michael D. Higgins. You ever seen the President of Ireland, Michael D. Higgins? Like 2 foot high, looks like a hobbit. And he sounds like Tom Cruise from far away.
Hello there, I'm the President of Ireland. How are you doing there? I'm Michael D. Higgins.
Also, the American ambassador to Ireland is on the second roundabout, a lady called Claire Cronin from Brockton in Massachusetts. And here's stop number 20 for the Phoenix Park. Dublin Zoo has 200 species of animals. One of them became a celebrity at the beginning of the 20th century. The first MGM lion from the MGM movies was from Dublin Zoo. But you didn't hear him go roar as a lion should, because he was from the silent movie period of MGM. Trust Pope Francis came to town, same park, same stage, 120,000 people went to see him. You guys are clever clogs, you're good at maths. That's a drop of 1 million people in the space of a generation. Kind of tells you volumes about how much little old Ireland has changed. A lot. A lot. The Phoenix Park, absolutely beautiful, guys and girls. Check it out. Remember, the weather is down for the next couple of days. Absolutely wonderful. The left-hand side, that would have been the gatekeeper's lodge in there, by the way. So one of the, the main groundskeepers. One of the best-selling books, by the way, in Ireland last year was called The Lamplighters of the Phoenix Park. And basically, the lamplights that we would have passed along Chesterfield Avenue dated back for 6 generations. The same family had been maintaining them for 6 generations. So initially they were gas and now they're electric. But the story of the book revolves around the Phoenix Park through the guys of that family who've supervised the renovations, the maintenance and the stories in those intervening years. So if you're looking to pick up a nice little book before you head off home and you're going into one of the bookshops, The Lamplighters of the Phoenix Park. It's an excellent read and you can do worse than checking that out. Outside the bus, let's go back to the criminal courts for a moment and expand upon a few things that are very important for you guys and girls. You can see there are 2 languages on the left-hand wall. All our road signs are bilingual. In school, English, mathematics and the Irish language are 3 of the compulsory topics that we have to do from the age of 4 until the age we graduate when we're 17 or 18. So if you notice, it says the criminal courts of justice. Up above it, it says the Curtina Brahunas Carula, which is the same in Irish. The harp on the left, by the way, that's on the front cover of our passport. We're the only country in the world to have a musical instrument as its national symbol. Modelled after the Brian Blue harp in the Long Hall Library at Trinity College, Dublin. So if you went to the library in Trinity, you'll see the harp that our national anthem is modelled off. Also, Guinness used the harp, don't they? But their harp faced to the right. The government harp faced to the left. That's because Guinness has been around since the 1700s. The Irish government, 1922. So if we want our independence, great, independent, woo, yay! Can I have your harp? No, go away, we're using it already. So they had to flip it 180 degrees in the opposite direction as a compromise. So Guinness had more of a say than the Irish government, and that's the way it should be. Stop number 21, more Guinness, less politicians. On the north side of Dublin, my friends. Remember, the north side of Dublin, the best part of Dublin. Your favourite tour guide in the world is from there. That's me. Level of composition is a park. Inside the park is a pond. Inside the pond is a stone statue of a lady. And this lady is known as Anna Livia. And Anna Livia is known as the principal character from James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake novel, okay? But in Dublin we have a healthy disrespect for everybody and everything. So this statue inside the pond, we call her the floozy in the jacuzzi. Look at her. Lazy, good for nothing floozy. We also call her the bride in the tide. On O'Connell Street, roughly where the spire of Dublin is now. You can't miss it. You know the big needle, the pointy thing. Yeah. So, before that was built, this statue was roughly where the spire is now. But she had to be moved down to this part of Dublin because Dublin City Council had a pain in their you-know-what with clearing out beer cans and washing up liquid from her fountains. They said, you're moving down the river. You are a pain in the face. Thank you very much. So there you go. Good on you, Floozy. Right hand side again, the more kind of industrial part of Guinness. 500,000 pints of Guinness are estimated to be in any one of those drums. Now, you look at your left hand side, this park is a whole national monument. It's known as Croppy's Acre. And inside Croppy's Acre are slabs on the left hand side, which are the resting place of 300 Irish soldiers who lost their lives in the 1798 Battle of Vinegar Hill, which was Ireland's first Republican revolt against British rule, arguably back in 1798. So slabs underneath them, the resting place of Irish soldiers. On your left hand side, the stone barracks that is now a National Museum of Decorative Arts and History. But many years ago, it was the largest military compound in the world, built by the British Army in 1701. So this is stop number 22 for that National Museum. Just a friendly reminder again, anywhere you see the word national for our museums means it's free. It's a National Art Gallery, National Library, etc. etc. Number 20 from the rest of society because of their hairstyle. It was high and tight like a crop. Because you have to remember the French Revolution of 1789, they had a distinctive crop style haircut, and the Irish kids said, we might try that ourselves. We tried, but it didn't work. Okay. So we are making our way alongside the north side of Dublin's River Liffey. I was about to start singing cheers there, actually, making our way in the world today. So 1 o'clock is the James Joyce Bridge. The architect was a man called Santiago Calatrava from Spain. And this is a pretty cool bridge because if you look across to the right hand side, the building with the black door is where James Joyce's aunt once lived, and that was the setting for The Dead, which is the last chapter in the short stories and books known as The Dubliners, printed out by James Joyce at the beginning of the 20th century. So next stop was number 23 for the John Jameson Whiskey Distillery. Now whiskey was apparently invented by Irish monks. They thought they were designing a new brand of perfume and trust the Irish to try and drink it. John Jameson was from Scotland, even though it says Jameson Irish Whiskey on the front of the label, and St. Patrick was Welsh. But remember, they were all legitimately leprechauns. So, left-hand side of your bus, the cobblestone streets, halfway down, there's a standing tower, and that is the Jameson facility. So, stop number 23, for all things triple distilled Irish whiskey, Jameson founded in the 1780s. Stop number 23. Okay, so pull out of stop number 23, under 23 for Deutschland. Good morning. Okay, so we're going to G&Z Garada House, straight down the north side of Dublin. On the 1 o'clock position, we see the Father Matthew Bridge. If you cross over the Father Matthew Bridge, you're in the vicinity of a pub with a quite brazen accolade, ladies and gentlemen. They call themselves a Brazen Head, and for some reason they haven't got the email yet that they're not the oldest pub in Ireland, but as God helps them, they still have it painted outside. We're the oldest pub in Ireland. No, you're not. The Guinness Book of World Records has clearly stated for over 10 years that Sean's Bar in Athlone in County Westmeath, 120 kilometres away from here, is Ireland's oldest pub. But everyone picks up a brochure and says, well, they're the oldest pub, I guess. That must be legit, right? Archaeologists did radio carbon dating on building material called wattle in Sean's Bar a decade ago and dated it back to 900 AD. Brazen Head is 1198. Pretty impressive, but still 298 years or thereabouts late for the big beer party. On the left-hand side, really hope you guys don't go in here, you seem like nice people. That's the Four Courts, the Supreme Court of Justice. The architect was a man called James Gandon, who was also the same man behind the beautiful Dublin Custom House building further down the River Liffey. Also the first shots of Ireland's Civil War, right outside that building on the 28th of June 1922. Our Civil War broke out around the country and lasted for 11 months, up until May 1923. Our Civil War, like any Civil War in any country, very sad when people from the same country turn a rifle on each other. So the fallout was after the Irish War of Independence. The British Prime Minister, David Lloyd George, said, listen guys, you're nice people, you do really nice Guinness, but I'm not giving you a full 32 county republic. Tell you what, have 26 and we keep 6. How does that sound? So, the Irish Provisional Government said, well, 26 is better than nothing, it's a start. So they went to the Parliament, took a vote, 64 agreed in favour of the 26 and 57 voted against. A majority of 7 passed the motion, which still meant that's a split Parliament, Ireland went to war. And it's not the IRA. Now the right hand side, the Dublin City Council head office. That is where the Viking city of Dublin was excavated between 1973 to 1981 along Wood Quay on your right hand side. So you're probably wondering, that's a cool story, Ross, but where are the Vikings now? All I see is a big office. Correct. Dublin City Council got a High Court injunction to concrete over the Viking city of Dublin. So what could have been a national monument for future generations was sacrificed to make way for their riverside office building. Now the thing about it is, some of the artifacts were salvaged and placed inside our governmental vaults, but it's still kind of sad when you think of what we could potentially have lost still down underneath the ground here today. So I'm going to give you guys a nice little local recommendation for a pub tonight that's outside of Temple. Okay, as I said, I don't talk about Temple. It does what it says in the tin. It's Ron Seal quick drawing wood stain. It's there. So I'm from here. If you want to go somewhere where you can actually hear Irish music but not have to compete with kids doing somersaults and sambucas off tables. On your left-hand side of the traffic lights is Capel Street, C-A-P-E-L. That was a principal thoroughfare of Dublin from the 1700s, okay? And halfway down Capel Street, you can't see the pub from the bus, but I'm just saying because we're passing it, trust me, it's there, and you'll have a good night. There's a pub called J. MacNeil, M-A-C-N-E-I-L-L, not O'Neill, MacNeil. And if you're going into MacNeil's tonight, the traditional Irish music is down the back. It's usually 4 or 5 local guys, the big white beards and the banjos going, Dublin and the it's the good stuff. So I'm sure if we're here for the weekend, you want to hear that kind of stuff as opposed to country roads, West Virginia. Okay. Now on the right hand side over the River Liffey, there is a building with a green penthouse building on top. And that is called the Clarence Hotel. That was once where U2, well, right on the edge, had run their businesses until last year. Even performed their song Beautiful Day on top of the roof. I really hope it was a day like today because they're really taking your life into your own hands performing a song called Beautiful Day on the roof in Ireland. For a bottle, I probably thought it was going to be like Abbey Road, the Beatles. You know, the traffic would stop. But in Dublin, everyone's like, Paul, just get down off the roof. Landmarks. It's okay, you don't have to ring the bell. We stop at every stop. Why do you keep on ringing the bell? Now, the right-hand side, the Halfpenny Bridge dates from 1816. It's made out of cast iron. And that's only a nickname, the Halfpenny. Its real name is the Liffey Bridge. Called the Halfpenny because where those steps are is where the tollmaster would have been charging a half-penny toll to cross what was the only pedestrianised bridge in Dublin for many years. So, half-penny. Also, why is Dublin called Dublin? When the Vikings sailed the River Liffey, they used to park up their longships at a body of water quite close to here, near Dublin Castle, called the Black Pool. The word in the Irish language for black is dove. The word for a pool of water is lin. Join them together. Dublin, Dublin. Welcome to Blackpool. Same with Cork. Comes from the old Irish word for marshland or swamp. Take a left turn onto O'Connell Street. So almost at the end of our tour. So as we're making our way down O'Connell Street, a lot more to talk about, especially for you guys that were with me at Stop Number 1. I'm going to go over some of the similar material. But on the right hand side is O'Connell Bridge. If you cross over O'Connell Bridge, by the way, that brings you over to a 5-minute walk from Trinity College, 10-minute walk over to Grafton Street. So the bulk of the south of the attraction on the south side of the city is only a 5-10 minute walk away. O'Connell Street. Daniel O'Connell was known as the liberator of the emancipator of 1829. Which meant that year he brought about equal voting rights for Irish Catholics at the British House of Commons. You have to remember, being Irish and Catholic in Catholic Ireland was a bad combination for many years. We weren't allowed to speak Irish. We weren't allowed to practice Catholicism. We weren't allowed to go to mainstream schools, colleges, libraries, hold positions of office of any shape or form, or own land of more than 5 acres. In your 11 o'clock position, there is the most important historical building in modern Ireland, the 6 pillars. No, not pennies, that's where you get your t-shirts. The one beside it, left-hand side, the GPO, the General Post Office. That's where the Easter Rising took place, a 6-day armed rebellion against British rule in Ireland in April of 1916. Irish soldiers barricaded themselves inside that building and fired out the windows at members of the British Army for 6 days. After 6 days, the Irish surrendered. The leaders were court-martialed and executed, brought to Kilmainham jail. But arguably, the events inside that building led towards our War of Independence and the Civil War. On your right-hand side is the Gresham Hotel, just past my colleagues in the big bus. So the Gresham Hotel, coming up here on the right-hand side, that's where the Beatles stayed in November '63. John, Paul and George all came from Irish stock. Poor old Ringo, not a drop of Irish DNA to be found. So Dublin and Liverpool, the two cities, were actually twin cities because the closest city over the Irish Sea to Dublin is Liverpool. And when times were tough here in Ireland, a lot of emigration, especially during the famine, there's no point to going anywhere else on the island of Ireland because it was just as bad everywhere else. You couldn't go to Belfast to get a job because the priority for the jobs was given to the working class Protestant men up in Harland and Wolff, the shipyards, Titanic, etc. So the Irish Catholic lads here in Dublin had to go elsewhere. Murray's pub with the flags up above it, just past this red and white bus here, and you'll see it, Murray's on the right. Irish music, Irish dancing from 8 o'clock tonight. Now the statue in your 1 o'clock position, tell us to take a left turn. That's Charles Stewart Parnell, very important man in Irish politics, wanted to bring about a parliament to Dublin. He was the leader of the Irish Parliamentary Party before being involved in an extramarital scandal put pay to his aspirations of an Irish parliament. Vocal language in Ireland, by the way, is Polish. 20 years ago, when the European Union expanded, our friends from Poland moved over in larger numbers, along with our friends from Slovenia, Slovakia, Hungary, Lithuania. Our dear colleague Stas, who's driving the bus you're on today, he's from Lithuania. He came here 20 years ago as part of that expansion. So we're coming up to the last stop before we bring you guys around to stop number 1. So this is for the Hugh Lane Gallery, free municipal art gallery, and Hugh Lane was an art dealer from Cork in the south of Ireland who unfortunately didn't really have the look of the Irish. He was a passenger on board the torpedoed Lusitania, which was sunk off the coast of Cork. Not great. Stop number 25. By the way, my friends, just to prepare you, the next stop is number 1, which is the last stop, okay? So the next bus that's going out is us. You're with me again.